Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight, dieting, and constantly feeling like you're starting over with nutrition and fitness? Do you wish you had more energy? Do you want to lose weight and finally keep it off for good? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse. I too have been there, and at the age of 44, I decided I was done with fad diets and chasing a lower number on the scale. I was so tired of constantly starting over and wondering why I couldn't get lasting results. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best formula for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, the scale, and your body, let's build your formula for feeling your best. If you're new here, make sure to check the episode details for the link to my newbie starter guide. You'll receive an email straight to your inbox with everything you need to start building your Feel Your Best formula. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to episode 4 of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast with Lil. I'm so excited you're here listening to episode 4. And if you're new here, I definitely encourage you to go back and listen to episode 1 so you can just get an overview of what the heck this podcast is all about and whether or not this is something that you would like to keep in your weekly rotation. My goal is to have a new podcast for you every Monday morning at 5 a.m. so that you can wake up and start your week and listen to it and get motivated for your week with the things that we discuss on here. Today's episode, I'm really excited about, but go ahead and hit subscribe on your podcast app and maybe leave me a review too. I would really appreciate it. Today, we are talking about what to do if you're starting from scratch. In 2023, if you're looking to get started with some healthy habits, that is what we are going to talk about. And maybe you found yourself right now, it's the end of 2022, and you are just really looking forward to 2023 and all of those things that you want to get started with. Perhaps you feel like you've gained some weight, you've gotten out of shape, or you're just like kind of feeling disorganized and disheveled, and you really crave that feeling of having peace and tranquility, feeling confident and strong, and you just want to start the habits that you know are going to help you feel better about yourself. Over the past 2 to 3 years, I myself definitely have struggled, and I know what it's like. And also, I will be right there with you starting fresh in 2023 with my fitness because of the broken ankle that I've mentioned. I should be able to come out of the boot by the end of the year and then get started back slowly on a fitness routine. So yes, I am talking to you if you have not worked out in 10 years and you're just feeling like you're in a really low spot with your self-care, or maybe you're someone like me and you've just gotten sidelined for a bit and you want to hop back into the swing of things with a fresh start in 2023. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And as we discuss what that looks like for you, I wanted to start with this analogy about what our day-to-day life is like, because I remember reading this book. I don't remember a whole lot about the book. I think it was called like The Husband's Secret or something like that. And anyway, if you've read the book, I can't think of who the author is off the top of my head. But anyway, she starts with the scene, the opening paragraph, the opening scene of the book is the main character, the mom, and she is waking up. It's that experience that we all have when our alarm goes off and we start opening our eyes. And it walks you through all those thoughts that are going on in her brain. And what she says in her brain is about how every day it's like she's trying to put together this complex jigsaw puzzle, and that her job as the mom is to fit all those pieces together and just create a smooth experience and, put that puzzle together for everyone. And I just thought when I read it, I mean, I don't remember much about the book, but I just remember that opening scene and it really stuck with me because I think it is such a perfect analogy with how it feels when we have so many moving pieces in our lives. And especially as women, if you are, you contribute financially to the home, you have a job, but you're also taking care of the family. And that might entail taking care of your children and taking care of older family members. It is so many moving pieces with everything that your kids have going on in their lives, with everything at school, with activities, with the things that you want to do with your time. Sometimes that jigsaw puzzle has some big gaps in it when it comes to our own self-care. And what we're going to talk about in this episode is how to start from zero, how to start from scratch and start to piece those puzzle pieces together, the ones that we're missing, so that you can have your own self-care, which is going to have a ripple effect on being able to do everything more smoothly in your life. I mean, it's so corny and we hear it all the time, but that put your oxygen mask on first so that you can help other people. And it is just so, so true. And I know through my own struggles that I've had over the past couple of years that taking care of myself was the foundation for me getting through it. Even, I don't feel like I was running at 100% capacity, but for me, just getting through the day and, feeling overall pretty good about myself, it's because I was still working out. I was still, fueling my body with nutritious foods and trying to make time to work on my mental health. And having those core habits can really help with your resiliency when you are faced with struggles in life. So let's dive in. And the first thing that we're going to get started with is stop beating yourself up wherever you are right now. Maybe you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so disorganized. I'm so out of shape. I'm so heavy. None of my clothes fit. I've felt depressed and anxious and just had, so much going on. Now, first off, if you can really benefit from the health of a professional, I highly recommend, if you feel like you have any sort of deep mental health struggle that you haven't been able to overcome on your own, please seek a professional. There are so many incredible therapies out there that can really make a difference for you. And same thing with your physical health. If you have any concerns for any health problems, cholesterol, blood pressure, aches and pains, things like that, please see your physician, your nurse practitioner, whoever you see, and start there with your self-care because they're a great resource and someone for you to talk to. But whatever it is that has you listening to this episode, give yourself a break for whatever is behind you, and let's just start looking forward. You're here because you're ready to take a step towards feeling better. This is your Feel Your Best Formula podcast. That's what we're all about here. So instead of beating yourself up, smile, give yourself a pat on the back, and just remember how awesome you are because you are listening to this and it's because you want change. You're ready to take steps. Maybe you don't know what that looks like, but by the end of this episode, I hope that you have some great action steps that you can take and you start feeling a little bit better about moving forward. So also remember, certain things in our lives are not our fault. Illness, trauma. If you listen to my first episode, there is nothing that myself or my husband did that contributed to the trauma that I felt after he had his stroke. It was just something that happened to us. And, I had to deal with the after effects of what it was like to live with that fear and anxiety and figure out how to move forward from it. And if you have an illness, if you have found yourself gaining a lot of weight, it's not your fault where you are right now, but it is your responsibility to figure out a way to feel better and to work towards a solution. We all owe that to ourselves. And I do personally feel if you have children, other family members, we owe it to them to not be a burden on them as much as we can. We all have individual circumstances and limitations, but I know I always want to be doing my best. When I was stuck on bed rest with this broken ankle, the first 2 weeks, I was losing my mind. I hated having to rely on everyone to do everything for me, and I was trying to do as much as I could within the scope of what I was allowed to do. And that is a mentality that I think can only serve you in moving forward in your life, is to always be looking how you can be more independent and how you can take control of a situation. So stop beating yourself up for where you are today and congratulate yourself for wanting to move forward and wanting to make change. Now, next, what we're going to do is we're going to create our energy list. And this is actually a really fun exercise. And I encourage you to take your time with it and not rush through it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of paper and you're going to fold it in half. Is that lengthwise? The long way. The long way. So you have 2 columns, and on the column on the left, you're going to write down the things that fill your cup, as they say, or as Vicki Gunvalson famously said in the Real Housewives info, fill your love tank. I always laughed when she said that. So what fills your love tank? What are the things that you enjoy? And honestly, what I found when I did this is that it was often the littlest things that bring me the most joy. Now, you could put on that left-hand column going on a week-long vacation to somewhere tropical. Sure, that's going to fill your cup. But also it could be the little things, snuggling with your child when they get home from school for 5 minutes and sitting on the couch with them and hearing about their day and building that relationship with them. That's something for me that has always been so important, are those little moments with them throughout the day. Driving them. I feel like my kids and I have the best conversations when we're in the car together, and really looking forward to those moments and knowing that those are something that, release those feel-good endorphins and help you feel good about yourself. So don't just look for those big things. Also look for the day-to-day moments that are really special to you, like maybe snuggling with your partner on the couch at night, or going on a date night, what have you, and write down as many things, just everything. There's no rules here. Just write down anything that helps you feel good, that you're proud of. And it can also be things that are hard work. It probably makes you feel really good if you had a hard day at work and you did something really important. Maybe you really changed someone's life at your job today. Even if it feels like something small, a little kindness goes a long way, and we should be proud of those moments. And those are what build our confidence and help us feel good about ourselves. So write down all of those things. And then conversely, on the other side of your page, you're going to write down the energy suckers, the energy vampires. You can also have people on your list. So if you want to burn the paper when you're done, or write in code or something, if you're worried someone will find it, you can go ahead and do that. But write down all those things that drain your energy. Maybe you signed up to be the room parent this year and you just were like, oh my gosh, this is just not how I want to be spending my time. Don't sign up for it again, and make note of it and say, this is not something that brings me joy. And that's okay. You don't have to do everything for everybody. You don't have to say yes. You have to learn to say no so that you can put yourself first. But write all those things on the right-hand side of your paper that suck the life out of you, that take away from you being able to take care of yourself, what have you. It is a very interesting way of breaking down exactly how we feel, because every interaction we have in our day is either giving us energy or it's taking our energy away. And if you're doing too many things that are taking your energy away, that is where we end up in those spaces where we're overeating, maybe drinking a little bit too much wine, sitting on the couch and binge watching TV instead of going out for a walk or doing other things that would make us feel better about ourselves. So paying attention to these two sides of the coin is really important. Now, once we have our energy list done, and like I said, take your time with this. This is not something to run through in 5 minutes. It might be something you come back and forth to, over a few days, and just remember to touch base with it. Or maybe you have an interaction and you go, oh gosh, I need to put that on my energy vampire side of my list. But you're going to look at your energy list and you're going to highlight the energy giving items that you really want to have in your life on a regular basis. And you're going to ask yourself, how can I have more of this in my life? How can I create consistency with this? How am I going to fit this into my daily and weekly life? Use these items to sketch out what we're going to call our ideal day. And ask yourself, what does an ideal day look like for me? Like right now, are you just in reactionary mode where you're putting out fires, you're responding to everyone else's requests, or are you working from a list of your own priorities? There is a huge difference in approaching your day in both of these ways. And I'm telling you that when you can work from your own priority list, your day is going to be so much more rewarding and satisfying. Not to say that we can always be in control of our day. I know that is absolutely not the case, but attempting to do that as much as possible. So we're not talking about, again, being on vacation, that, yes, is that an ideal day, sitting by the beach, sipping cocktails? Yeah, that sounds great, but that's not the reality. Instead, I'm talking about a realistic, enjoyable day that you could reasonably achieve, where at the end of the day, you're going to go to bed and you're going to be like, hey, I don't mind getting up and doing that all over again. And it's something to look forward to. So I'll give you an example of what that looks like. This is what life looked like for me when I very first started working out at home, and I had to fit in all those things. I had a job in an office, and I had previously gone to the gym, and I knew I needed to start working out at home because it was just impossible to try to go to the gym and also have an office job. It just did not work for me. So what my day looked like was I would wake up at 4:45 a.m., and this was specifically on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I'll share with you what I did on Thursdays, but I did not do this on Thursdays. 4:45 a.m., I would wake up, get my workout clothes on, do a 30-minute workout. Then I would make myself a protein shake. And while I was drinking my shake, I would do things like write in my gratitude journal, read a book, listen to a podcast, check my schedule for the day. I would do a variation on those things while I was drinking my shake. Then I would head up and take a shower, get the kids up, feed the dog, make breakfast and lunches, and maybe throw some ingredients in the slow cooker to have for dinner later. I would drop the kids off at school. I would go to work. On my lunch break, I would try to go for a walk and just, get out of the office for a little bit. My office didn't have any windows in it, and it felt really claustrophobic when you're sitting there for 8 hours a day. Then I would head straight to the kids' activities. I might be able to come home and get them first, or oftentimes I would have to meet them, at 5:30 p.m., wherever that was, on the hockey rink or the soccer field or something like that. They would get a ride from whoever got them off the bus, and I would meet them there. And then we would have dinner after activities and homework. Then I would do my evening routine where I was setting out my workout clothes, making sure I had as many things prepared at night so that my morning could go a little smoother, probably folding some laundry, cleaning up the kitchen, all those types of things. So then I would go relax and, watch some TV with my husband and go to bed and start it all again the next day. And what was important was I had learned how to fit in the things that I really enjoyed. And it wasn't every day, but that became what my ideal day looked like. And, it was where I was checking a lot of those boxes that I had struggled with before I created this routine. Now, I would leave Thursdays, and I think this is important because you don't have to have every day be the same. And Thursdays I would sleep in. I wouldn't work out. I wouldn't really do anything other than wake up, enough ahead of the kids so that I could have a little bit of me time before our day got started. But I needed that sleep. And usually by the time Thursday came around, I was ready to have that extra hour and 15 minutes of sleep. So, when thinking about your daily habits, where do these fit into your life? And can you map out an ideal day and really start moving those puzzle pieces around so that you can fit in your self-care? Next, I want to talk about the morning routine because I really don't care what you do during your morning routine, but you need to have one, especially if you have a family. I just find that so many women that I've worked with over the years, the later you put off your workouts, the later you put off your me time, there's just way too many chances between the time you wake up in the morning and then the evening to get in the way of that time for yourself. So the morning routine, I never was a morning person until I decided that I was going to be. That is essential in creating that time in your life so that you can do those self-care items that are going to have such a positive ripple effect throughout the day. Even when you're getting started, don't try to bite off more than you can chew. Just start maybe 10 minutes at a time and using that time to research and plan your next steps. Maybe use that time to figure out a workout that would work for you, or read a book like The Miracle Morning or The Perfect Day Formula. I'll make sure to put links to those in the show notes, but those are the best books for someone who wants to get started with a morning routine. And definitely the biggest mistake is if you just try to go and completely revamp your life out the gates. It can just be too much and ends up being a recipe for disaster. And it's overwhelming and unsustainable for me to start waking up at 4:45 a.m. I did that by waking up about 15 to 20 minutes earlier over a week or so that I could get myself to that earlier wake up time. So be realistic about yourself. And speaking from personal experience, I know I've been able to sustain my healthy habits because I took this step-by-step approach where it's called habit stacking, where you start one healthy habit, you get it solidified, and then you add another one on top. And next, we're going to talk about nourishing your body, because if you want to have energy and you want to have that ideal day, it's really important to make sure that you're nourishing your body in a sustainable way. Most of what's out there when it comes to weight loss and quote unquote healthy eating is restrictive, disordered, and damaging, the vast majority of it. And most importantly, when something is restrictive, it's going to be unenjoyable and it's going to be unsustainable. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend some Instagram accounts that I think you could find really helpful that are run by nutrition experts. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in the show notes as well if you want to give those people a follow on Instagram. But following people who had a really realistic approach to food, who stop demonizing food, who give you really great tips and a framework to work from, I think is so important. On my Start Here page on my blog, I also list out some books and things like that I think are really great ways to get started with learning how to nourish your body in a way that's going to work for you both physically and mentally. And you can refer back to episode 3 where we talked about how to choose a fitness routine that will work for you. So go back and listen to that episode if fitness is something that you want to start fitting into your life. I'm guessing that you've had some experience learning what does not work for you over the years. So that's also valuable information. Letting go of diet culture, restrictive eating, it can be really hard, especially if you've always associated healthy habits with restricting food on some level. For many years, I always thought the only way to be healthy is to be eating low calorie and making sure that I'm eating super clean. And if I'm not eating that way, then I might as well just throw in the towel and give it up. But the bottom line is, I think you know what the basics are for healthy eating. I feel like most of us have a pretty good idea that eating more lean protein, veggies, fruits, whole grains are all really nourishing foods for your body. So it's just great to make note of which of those foods you really enjoy and eat more of those. And you can worry about the details later, but just take a step in the right direction. I definitely my plan for 2023 is not to dive into some crazy diet or cleanse or anything like that. It's just going to be about nourishing my body with balanced meals, foods that I enjoy. I'm not going to force myself to eat foods that I don't like, although I'll be honest, there are very few foods that I don't like. I love food. But also learning how to fit in those treats. It's just so important to learn that about ourselves. And that's how I try to eat on a daily basis. And if I decide that I want to work on some fat loss in 2023, then I'll be tweaking things a little bit. But overall, learning how to nourish your body, learning what healthy foods you do enjoy and eating more of those is just so helpful. And then overall, the last piece of this that we're going to talk about that I think is something that we can be really thoughtful about is asking yourself, where can I add in more nourishing choices for my mind and body? Now, it can be so simple and just be drinking more water, eating more lean protein, having more veggies, getting more steps in, get outside more, spend more time with the people you enjoy, and don't leave room for those things that don't make you feel good. Don't leave room for that extra glass or two of wine at night. Don't leave room for an entire bag of potato chips. Maybe you just leave room for one handful of potato chips because you're filling up on salad and grilled steak and some fruits and veggies and all of those things. It's always look to what you can do more of rather than looking at it from a restrictive viewpoint where, oh, I just can't have this and I can't have that and I have to do this and I can't do that. It can be so overwhelming and exhausting to look at things that way. So right now you can sit there and just think of what are some things I can do more of, like drinking water. That's really easy. It's probably one of the simplest things that we can add in. Eating a big salad once a day is something that I enjoy and I strive for. It's a great way to get veggies in. There's so many ways that you can look to add more of the good stuff so that you can leave yourself feeling energized, feeling like you really did take care of yourself, and just feeling better about yourself overall. So I hope this gives you a foundation to work from. And I know it can be tempting to, oh, the new year's coming. Let me sign up for this like intensive boot camp or weight loss plan or whatever. And if that is what is speaking to you, go ahead and do that. I totally wish you the best. Everyone has different things that work for them. But if you're looking for a more gentle approach, something that you can see being sustainable in the long run, then I would definitely take a look at these suggestions that I mapped out for you today and just ask yourself, can I start writing these things down and really forming a plan and taking control of those day-to-day, moment-to-moment decisions that have a bigger impact on my overall long-term health. Because in my view, if you've listened to my previous episodes, you know that that's what I'm all about, really looking at that big picture. So that's all we have for episode 4. Like I said, please hit that subscribe button on your podcast app and leave me a review. I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to check the episode details for my new listener starter guide, and any additional resources mentioned in the episode can also be found in the show notes on my website. You can always find me on Instagram at Macros with Lil, and for more healthy lifestyle tips, recipes, and information on my one-to-one and group coaching services, make sure to check out my website. All the links can be found below. If you know someone else who is ready to start building their formula for feeling their best, please share the love and send them the link to the podcast. I hope you found today's episode helpful, and I'll see you back here next week for a brand new one.